Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, I got my buddy Dan Rathmann with me. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me back.
Hey, you're welcome. So a lot has happened since we got together the last time. We were just talking about that off air. And we were talking about how we switched my studio around. And we were also talking about how you got busy and stuff. And so you got some dates coming up here, locally. You got any projects out of town yet?
Well, I'm starting to get some love down in Kansas City, Oklahoma, possibly some Florida,
Hell yeah.
Got that email today that I had to send off some clips and stuff, so I'm hoping I get that gig. I just actually, on my way here, I had a new bar up in King City that's opened up. They just hit me up, so we might be booking something with them pretty soon, too.
Hell yeah.
Literally, on my way over here, that was a message to me. So I had another musician actually reach out to me, too, and ask me, how you stay booked? And I was like, I'm really just flying by the seat of my pants, man. I don't know.
You're doing your own promotion, right?
I do a lot of my own promotion, and a lot of people are promoting me, too. I guess they're just kind of jumping on and going.
Hey, that's awesome. I love that. And I found an issue with myself with self-promoting and trying to get the name of the show. I just don't like doing it. I worry about people. Oh, that guy's got an ego or whatever. But
no.
I got to get past that, right?
If you're not promoting, you're not promoting enough. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You gotta get it out there. Like I know I've gained more followers and stuff, but at the same time, I know I lost a few followers because they probably were like, oh man, this guy's just constantly posting his flyers and everything like that. But it's like, listen, if you don't put it out there, nobody else is gonna put it out there for you. So you got to get on it because it's like that. And if I see you share something, I'll share it for you. That's because that's how I do. I support people, and especially locally, it's like it's one of those things. Is that I had actually I just booked a show with them October 12th for Hazel's Coffee here in town.
Oh, really? I love coffee shops.
So they reached out to me and asked me to share one of their events that they had coming up tonight. Actually, it's a karaoke event. It starts at 6:30 actually.
Yeah, we won't. This won't go out tonight, but I'm not sure. I think.
Yeah. They're going to start doing it on a regular, I believe so. They're going to start doing a regular thing.
Yeah.
They got to be closed by 10, I think, for the regulations, for the noise regulations and stuff. But
yeah.
But they said that they're going to start doing that. So I decided, hey, yeah, I'll share it. And then the mix of talking to them, because I got the message like 7:30 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And reaching out and asking me, will you kind of share this for us? And I'm like, yeah, I will. That's fine. And I said, well, you guys know I do comedy. Like, yeah, we do. We were going to get a hold of you. I was like, okay. So we ended up booking a show for October 12th. So I just added that to my show list.
October 12th.
Yeah.
And where's that at? Hazel's?
Hazel's Coffee here in town.
All right. Hazel's Coffee in St. Joseph, Missouri. If you're local, check it out because hey, Hazel's Coffee could definitely use a more diverse crowd up in there and comedy shows, and they're starting shows. What is every Friday? Or they're doing it like on a regular.
They're doing the karaoke. I don't know about the comedy stuff's not going to be a regular. I think it's probably once in a while. It'll probably be a booking. If they decide to do them,
doing an open mic.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they decide they want to do that, I'll be more than happy to come through.
Yeah.
And host because I do a lot of that still. I'm still with Unplugged a lot. Unplugged is kind of my home. We know that.
Absolutely.
So I basically have been doing mainly promoting that. We've got a show there actually next Saturday, the 29th. So that's going to be the Close to Comfort comedy show too. So I did a second rendition of it. We've actually added a couple people that weren't in the last one. We've got a female comedian that's trying to make her way come up in St. Joe too. So
really,
I brought her on board, and she's pretty funny. She's got some good stories, and we're gonna
give her a shout out.
Oh yeah, Darius Lee, and she's great. She's an artist too, so she's actually hopefully she's gonna set up some of her art there for sale at the show too, so people can purchase her art if they want to.
Hell yeah! Now, the last time you were here, we were talking about like inspirations and kind of telling your story, and you were working a day job at that time. You still got that job?
No, I'm not. I do a lot of booking for other artists now too. So
really,
I've kind of taken on doing like booking for musicians, comedians.
That's awesome.
A lot of people are coming to me to do stuff. So it's like I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of almost transitioning to full-time booking agent plus doing my comedy. So it's kind of almost living the dream, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's like it's just like another side of like networking, right? I mean, so if you're using your platform as you know, because you have your business. If you're using that platform to boost yourself or whatever, it's
Oh yeah.
it's
Here,
all.
I'll give you the new business card. Actually, it's
Hell yeah.
show that up there too. That's pretty cool. I actually made this. There's a front and a back to it. That's for you.
Thank you.
But,
And we'll take a picture of that and put it up on screen.
Yeah, I made those a while back. I was just as you've seen the difference in the changes of my design. So
Yeah.
over time, you got to adapt and overcome. So
I love that saying you got effort meets fate.
it really does, man. It does.
And that's where the rubber meets the road, man. So you put in the work, and so not all the time does hard work and dedication equal success.
No.
Not every time. But in your case, man, you are coming right along. Like, you've only been doing this for a little over a year now, and you're already full time,
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say completely full time. I still do some odds and ends in here and there, but you got to pay bills. But at the same time, my focus has been mainly on this. Like, I hardly sleep, so it's kind of wild. And working on trying to get that sponsor, So
Hell yeah.
But
shout out to Miller.
That's what I want.
Give Dan a call. I'll put his contact details in the description.
Heck yeah, that's what I want to do. But I actually have been talking to there's a guy that I've known for years and stuff, and we've kind of linked up recently to he's looking at possibly getting me a Southern U.S. tour going maybe. So we're sending off my clips and doing things like that. And of course, me and Brady, we've been doing quite a bit together. Brady Willis.
Brady Willis, yeah.
He's kind of my consistent guy with me. And last week we sold out Southern Roots Event Center. We had 180 seating and we sold out 181 tickets. So
Hell yeah.
it was good. And it was like, it felt good, And
I bet it did. I
don't know if I sent you the clip or not, but I posted some up on like TikTok and stuff, but.
You did send me a couple things. I'm not sure if one of them was a clip, but I sometimes when I get text messages and I'm really busy and then I forget to respond back, kind of like we were talking about before the show. I had somebody I reached out to somebody. Yeah, it does happen. So it's the weirdest thing. I wake up in the morning and I'm not used to this. I wake up in the morning and I've got 20 text messages to respond to, and
15 are for me.
No, like 15 emails or 20 emails that I got to respond to, and it's very weird for me because I'm like, nobody ever wanted to talk to me before,
right.
And so since I've gotten all this stuff put together, man, it's like constantly I'm busy working on it, and which is a good thing, I don't mind being busy, but I don't want to be a burden on other people.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
And so sometimes it is a little difficult to deal with. And like, am I going to bother so-and-so if I book this, like today, like it's 4:30 in the afternoon, almost 5 o'clock. And it's like, my wife just got off work, the kid, it's summertime. It's really hot outside. It's like 75 degrees here in studio.
Yeah.
And Dan, bless you for coming in here and dealing with the heat with me.
Nah, I'm drinking a beer, man. It's all good. I'm cool as an ice cube right now.
Cool as a cucumber. Man, so the last time we were here, we didn't get into a whole lot of comedy, but we did speak about some hopes and dreams and the upcoming shows and whatnot. But man, I got to pick your brain on something, man. You ever what in your working career or just out and about, you ever deal with Gen Zers?
Oh yeah.
The Zoomers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, what the hell, man? They have no attention span. They don't know how to do anything.
That's why I keep my jokes short.
Yeah.
No.
So the issue that I've been having with Gen Z right now, and I'm not going to throw out any names because they probably don't even listen to the show anyway. But the work ethic, man, where the hell did it go?
Terrible.
You would think so a broke person that has a job, you would think that they would go to work all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But not the Gen Zers I know. They are broke and they were like, oh, well, I don't want to go to work today, so I'm not going to.
I can see, well, here's the thing on this, because as you know, like obviously when you got hopes and dreams, right?
Yeah.
And this is a serious section of it is because I can understand that because nobody wants to go to a job that absolutely drains them, right?
Right.
So from that perspective, I could see where a Gen Z would be like, man, this job sucks. You know what I mean? I could
Right.
understand that because I've been there. You know, I've worked for positions that, you know, they treated me like shit. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. You know, like I'm not going to do this every day for the rest of my life. If there's a chance that, you know, I'm going to take a sick day or I'm going to take a, you know, a day out if I can, because I'm just at a point with it. Like I'm either going to burn this place to the ground or I'm gonna,
Right.
you know, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I understand from that perspective, but there is what you're saying here, what I'm getting from you is that basically there is no work ethic for them.
Right.
And to a sense there isn't. I can understand the psychology side of that. They don't want to go to a dead-end job,
Right.
but at the same time, they don't want to put effort in on anything they're doing.
That's
so
right.
say if they were going to come and do the comedy with me, you know, they're not going to put in the time at open mics. They're not going to put in the time to do the things that I do or the other guys that I see doing that I promote to do comedy shows with me.
Right.
Well, then they won't get on a show with me, you know? So I take it back to effort meets fate, you know? If
That's
they're not
exactly
going to put it
right.
through, you know, so.
The kids that I know, man, if you offered them a spot and let's just say they're really good at comedy or whatever, and you offered them a spot to come with you,
Yeah.
they wouldn't put in the effort.
Yeah.
And if one thing wasn't happy or one day didn't go their way, they would just stop. And I tend to take issue with that because anything worth having is going to be hard. Nothing's easy.
There's a lot of unpaid hours in what I do.
Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of unpaid. Like I'm still like I'm 6 months in, 7 months in, and I've not been paid yet a single dime.
Yeah.
And so we're upside down probably $12,000 by now.
We're getting there. We'll keep on sharing it and stuff, and we'll get this out there. We'll keep
Hell
it going,
yeah.
man. I'll keep promoting it and I'll tag you and stuff whenever I do stuff.
I
now
appreciate
too.
that.
I'll even I'll start giving you some shout outs at my shows and stuff too if
Hell
I can.
yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
Help you out, man.
It's completely not necessary, but I appreciate it.
yeah, least I could do, man.
I appreciate it. But so the thing, like with this thing, I wanted to start it as kind of like a hobby. And then the more I did it, I was like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. I really like it. And I thought, well, you know, let's make a go out of it and make a business out of it. And I just went into it full force. And I don't know any young kids that are willing to do even half the work that it like. So let's take entry level positions for an example.
Yeah.
I know probably 10 kids off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I guess they're not kids anymore. They're young adults.
Yeah.
But I know probably 10 off the top of my head that work an entry level job who are upset because they don't get the top pay.
Yeah.
And they're upset because they don't get the top jobs.
It's entitlement.
Exactly. And I'm like, well, you've got to start somewhere. And you've got your foot in the door. Now you've got to move up. And in order to move up, you've got to show consistency. You've got to show that you want to be there. You got to show that you want to advance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just going to hire somebody else that wants to do it.
Well, and that's the thing too. Is like, everybody wants the world we live in. It's all about quick satisfaction. You know, it's
Instant gratification. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's the same way with even relationships. You know, like there's a lot of people out here that they don't last as long as like our grandparents did, or you know, or moms and dads or whatever. You know, these people stay together through thick and thin and a lot of stuff, and it's some of the stuff that. Oh, they breathed my air wrong, you know, we're leaving, you know what I mean? So that stuff, like, it's just crazy that the world has changed so much. And I'm not saying that some stuff shouldn't have changed.
Yeah.
You know, there are some things that back in the day that would fly that, you know, we can't have now.
Right.
But at the same time, though, you can't have, no one wants to work for anything as far as, like you said, whether it's the relationships, whether it's the job, all that stuff. There's a self-entitlement thing. And the thing is, too, is that social media is a problem.
It is.
It really is a
agree.
problem. It is so great for what we do, like when we're trying to promote and we're trying to do this type of
And
stuff.
that's exactly what social media was invented for.
Yeah.
Like Facebook was the original networking
Yeah,
app. You
exactly.
know, I completely agree.
And that's the thing, though, is like people don't understand, like, that you shouldn't just be able to swap out your person for like, oh well, they messed up today, so I got three guys on the back burner. You know what I mean?
Right. I know exactly
pitch hitters
what
over
you're
here.
talking about.
Like going on here. That type of stuff happens all the time. I see it all the time. I mean, I'm not going through it myself, thank God, but it's just one of those things is that you see how that works.
Man, you bringing up social media, there's a lot of negativity on social media these days. I noticed a lot. So it took me a long time to really notice it. But then, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts myself and then comedians, and they're always, pointing things out that nobody else really kind of understands or sees. And so I'm walking around and, I'm walking around the grocery store. Nobody's yelling at each other. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's arguing. The only place you see that really is on social media. Like people don't do that out in public.
Did you ever notice that the levels of anxiety issues have rose drastically?
Yes,
since social media.
Yes.
Because everybody is out there looking for that. Oh, I got to be confirmed on what I'm doing. I've got to do that. And don't get me wrong, we all go through it, because I'm a comedian. So I'm trying to get as many followers as I can. I'm trying to get quality followers.
Right.
I'm trying to get people to see my stuff. So, you want people to see what you're doing. So you've got to have that little bit of affirmation or whatever,
Absolutely.
to get that. But at the same time, it's like it causes so much anxiety with people because, again, everybody is so replaceable in today's society with that type of behavior. Because it's like, well, my boyfriend or my girlfriend said this about me, but this guy over here or this girl over here is telling me how good I am. And
exactly. The grass is always greener type of thing.
It's like water it where you're at, man. That's where it's
exactly. I was just getting ready to say that the grass is greener where you water it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And we're kind of on the same wavelength right now. Man, I tell you what, though, like one thing that I've noticed recently about, like, because I joined some dad groups.
Yeah.
And I can't say I did it for material, but it's working out that way.
Yeah.
I joined some dad groups, and I joined
Well, your thing's
exactly,
dad in the
and that's
title.
exactly why I joined, so I can be like, hey, I need material or whatever. Well, I didn't strictly join for that reason, but I also wanted to like have a community to belong to, if that makes sense.
Heck yeah.
And so I joined some dad groups. Am I the asshole? I joined some of those groups, and there's a lot of dudes out there bitching about Father's Day, like they really got their feelings hurt over Father's Day. And for me, Father's Day is just another day. And I think the reason why is because I don't really understand Mother's Day and Father's Day.
I feel like I'm a father every day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Why should we? I did comment that on one of those posts. Like somebody was complaining about being forgot on Father's Day, and I was like, well, I don't like Father's Day because, in my opinion, I should be celebrated every day. So and it was probably not as funny as I meant it to be. I meant it to be like, everybody look at me. The world should revolve around me type of post. But
yeah,
it just kind of struck me as odd that there's so many guys out there that are like, oh, my wife didn't do this for Father's Day, and my wife didn't do that for Father's Day. And I'm like, is your wife your father, or are you your wife's father?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's
just because they call you daddy doesn't mean that's the same way.
Amen.
Amen. So, no, it's funny that you bring this up because I was looking up stuff a while back, and I think it was how holidays were celebrated, and Father's Day is considered, one of these holidays. Mother's Day is considered like a holiday thing. And I think it was like Father's Day was celebrated after like Arbor Day or something. It was like the least celebrated holiday or whatever. And
trees get more respect than I do. What's it, Rodney Dangerfield?
Right? That's basically what it brought to me whenever you said that. And I was like thinking, man, that's wild. Like
I get no respect.
But here's the thing too, is like and first off, I love cooking. So you see my stuff, I cook all the time. So which I was supposed to actually submit it, and I need to hurry up and do it because I was actually contacted to submit a thing for that Pitmasters or whatever on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought about doing it and going on there and seeing if I can get on. But
hey, you ever? So you remind me a little bit. You look a little bit like a younger Myron Mixon.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, watch the show. You might.
I have to look it up. I just like to cook and experiment, man. I started making my own sauces and stuff too, so it's like pretty cool. But
I love barbecue.
Well, I did the ribs the other day with my own mustard like base sauce.
Oh yeah.
And I did some seasoning with it and did some other stuff mixing with it, and Man, I thought that they wouldn't go as fast. I did just regular Sweet Baby Ray's for one rack, and then I did mine for the other rack. Baby Ray's is still in my fridge. Like,
yeah.
But my rack is gone. Like, they just all ate it. I had like one slice or one rib out of that thing. But it's pretty cool. But I was making a joke about that the other day because I was like, you know, how come on Father's Day we have to do all the cooking? You know, it's like that's kind of messed up because you would figure that everybody else would. But I love to cook, so for me, it's kind of a tradition on Father's Day for the father to barbecue out or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know where everybody else does it, but for me, that's how I always grew up. Is like father gets out there, that's his day. He drinks his beer, he cooks on the grill. Everybody likes the food, and to me, that's rewarding when everybody says, "Oh, that's good."
All right. Right. That's how it's always been around here, except for the cooking of the food. I don't do that because if everybody ate my cooking, nobody'd like me. So I'm a decent cook, but I don't cook with other people in mind. I cook what I like to
What your
eat.
flavor is.
Yes. And
Gotcha.
so, if it's too spicy, somebody, my wife won't eat it. If if it's not spicy enough, the kids won't eat it.
Yeah.
So my wife, she really she cooks everything perfect.
Yeah.
So we just let her do the cooking. And she cooked a really badass steak dinner for us on Father's Day.
Nice.
And, when you sent me your pictures, you sent me your pictures of your ribs, and I'm just like, oh, dinner ain't for a couple more hours. I'm starving.
I was sorry about it. I should have brought some over for you so you try.
No, it's good.
So
yeah, and you should have. I'm always here.
Yeah.
But
I'll do it next time.
So you were invited to be like part of a Pitmaster show, huh?
Well, I haven't got it yet. They sent me a thing to do the submissions for it.
Okay.
But it was a Netflix thing. It's a series. So I signed up because I'm starting to transition into like film and stuff too.
Yeah.
Which I did a series where I got to meet the rapper Benzino.
Hell yeah.
Which they gave me a shout out on my thing, but you couldn't really hear it because one of the other comedians I work with a lot, he was talking in the background, which you seen me comment on that. So, damn it, Petty. But no, it was cool. But Benzino was a good dude. He was a really nice dude. He was respectful, and you hear all this stuff about him, because everybody's like talking about like, well, what about Eminem and their beef? I'm like, I'm not any part of Eminem and his beef.
Yeah, no.
I don't get tied up in that stuff. I'm not. This ain't Tupac and Biggie. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I just left it at that. So because every time anybody would say something like, well, you about him? I'm like, dude, he was cool. Like, he talked to me like me and you talking. Like,
exactly.
I give him respect for that. This guy's got higher followings and all this other stuff. He's been in the business for 30 years, whatever. To me, if you're going to treat me with respect and you've been around the world, you've done what you've done,
right,
and you come at me like a normal person, I'm going to come at you like a normal person.
Yeah, what is that with like people that, so if they have a problem with somebody, you have to have a problem with them too just because you're friends or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I'm not friends with Eminem. I don't even know him personally.
Right.
So,
and just, I'm going to throw my sister under the bus real quick because she doesn't. As far as I know, she doesn't listen to the show. Mm-hmm. But even if she did, I've told this story a million times. So her and her husband split up, and he was my boss.
Oh, nice.
And so. That put me in he was my boss, and he was also my best friend at the time.
Yeah.
So not only did I work with him, but I hung out with him too.
Yeah.
And so she called me on the phone because they were spatting back and forth, and she told me just quit talking to him. I was like, oh, hold on a minute, I can't quit talking to him because he's my boss, you know. And she's like, I don't care, he did something to upset me, and I was like, so wait a minute. So he's done something to you, so I have to be mad at him?
Right.
And she's like, but I'm your sister. And I get it, but I got to pay the bills too.
Yeah.
And so about a week after that, she called me up and she says, I was thinking about what you said, and you're right. You're right. I shouldn't ask you to do that. And I said, I know. It's okay, though. We all get those feelings sometimes.
I get that, too, because people are like that. Our own friends do that type of stuff, too. Like, well, I'm mad at that person. I'm like, well, they didn't do nothing to me. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I get it. Like, was it dirty? Yeah, they shouldn't have done that to you, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
and
they didn't do it to me.
But I'm like, I have no quarrel. I don't have a fight or a dog in that fight, I guess is what I'd say with the Benzino and Eminem thing, whatever that is. And it's not, to me, it's like, I'm not rapping. I'm not even in their genre. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not even trying to rap. Like,
I could just see it now.
So,
you want to try that at the next open mic you go to? It's
Right.
like tonight I'm gonna start rapping,
Right.
and we're gonna work on this rap career.
yeah, we're gonna work on this rap career. I got my grandma's basement and stuff too, so we're gonna make it right. So,
Oh hell. No, I don't know. I was thinking of trying to think of things to bitch about, you know, and I've run out of things to complain about, I guess. Gen Z, that's really the only thing that's pissed me off lately is I don't know what generation I'd have to look it up. My middle kid, he's 14. I don't know what generation he is, but they're doomed too. Like they don't know how to talk to anybody. They don't know how to, and I did a live show, a live YouTube this morning talking about screen time, and I'm on a quest to reduce screen time for me and the family.
you got to. Like,
Absolutely.
literally just left my son's appointment, and that was one of the things that they talked to us about. Like, you got to reduce that, and it doesn't help the kids.
Exactly.
So
I noticed a couple weeks ago, my youngest has been out of school for a couple weeks, and he's starting to regress a little bit.
yeah,
And the only thing I can attribute that to is being around a screen more and not really learning.
yeah,
And so your compadre Adam Brown, he has a bit in his set, or one of his sets, that talks about being a tablet parent, you know. And I was thinking about his set when I was coming up with these rules and a change of pace, really. I was thinking about that, and man, whenever I want to look at my phone, look at my own screen, I'll pass the tablet to the kid and say, here, you know, leave me alone while I look at my screen.
Yeah.
You know, and these kids aren't learning to be social with each other.
No.
They'll talk to each other on their screens.
No.
And you could sit a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds in a room together. None of them will talk to each other.
they're texting each other.
Yes.
It's crazy.
In the same room. And this is what we're doing to our kids, man. They can't, like going to the, taking my younger kids to the restaurants and stuff, like they can't order their own food. They don't know how to talk to people. Yeah. My middle son, my 14-year-old,
Causes social awkwardness.
yeah,
Is what it does.
yeah, he doesn't have a cell phone, but when he did, like we had to, one of those issues, like he couldn't be responsible with it, so we had to take it. And no matter what we did, we locked it down, parental controls, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It couldn't be, we'd have to get one of those phones that can only dial 2 numbers,
Right.
and he could be trusted with that.
Yeah.
But like
That's funny.
when he did have a phone, we'd call him and he wouldn't know how to answer. Like he wouldn't know how to talk to someone on the phone. And it's like, he'd be like, you know, wait for us to say hello before he'd say hello. So he wouldn't even answer. He'd just sit there.
So he's just breathing in the phone.
Yeah. And it was kind of weird. But we'd tell him, like, hey, when you answer the phone or when you pick up the phone, say hello and address the person that's talking to or calling you.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those weird things that I didn't really think about until other people are bringing it to my attention, you know, and the lack of social skills is making our kids weird, man.
Yeah.
They can't do anything. They don't have any social skills.
Well, here's the thing, man, and it kind of got me because, you know, you talk to these psychiatrists and these therapists and all this stuff. Like, okay, so I just left that with my son, and he's talking about, you know, being 5 and having anxiety. I'm like,
What?
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like there, I'm like, dude, the comedian in me is like, I'm about to roast this guy. You know, it's like, are you serious? He's 5. Like, anxiety is not even existent to me for a 5-year-old. Like, for real, he has no fear. He does whatever he wants. Like, you're gonna tell me he's anxious,
Right?
Like, but they're talking to us about all this stuff. He did have some good stuff that actually would help out because, you know, he is a little bit lacking in certain areas because he doesn't have the communication that other kids do his age because he doesn't talk like a normal 5-year-old. So
Right.
he uses a little bit of sign language and stuff like that, which we thought at first was the issue with his ears when he was younger. But, you know, it happens, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really think I think they want to say, you know, this or that, and I want to be thinking like more along the lines of like, there's a consistency you have to keep with these kids.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you throw, like you said, when you throw a tablet at a child and you like, here, just get out of my hair.
Yeah.
That's the reflection of you to them.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, he doesn't want me here, or she doesn't want me here. Whoever the parent is that's doing it all the time.
Right.
They can tell that, you know, and it doesn't matter if they're 5. It doesn't matter if they're 10. If that's what your behavior is to them, you're just giving them the shove off.
Right.
Like, does anybody like getting the shove off as an adult?
Absolutely not.
So that's the way I look at it. And, you know, I basically, I talked to this guy and we were sitting there talking and stuff, and we both kind of got on the same level with it. Because then he was telling me this stuff about negotiations, or not negotiations, but asking them questions and giving them options, right? To do stuff because they're more defiant, you know, because basically what he called it was ODD, right?
Right.
ODD it's like
oppositional defiance disorder.
Yeah, which I'm like, well, what child is it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
as an adult, like, man, I'm almost 40. I'm pretty sure I have, like, if you tell me no, don't push that button.
Yeah.
Man, what's going through everybody's mind? Push the button.
Right.
Push the button.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, so do we all have this? You just gonna make this shit up? Like, pardon my language.
No, go ahead.
So, I mean, this is me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna point out stuff. So I was just thinking like this, but then he was like saying he asked him questions. Well, okay. So for my previous position where I've been at I was to read this book by Chris Voss, which I highly recommend everybody reads this book. It's called Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference.
By Chris Voss. He's an ex-FBI hostage negotiator.
I've heard of this guy.
Amazing, dude. It's an amazing book, and I am like freaking addicted to it.
He's got a few podcasts out there with
amazing
with some guys.
Yeah, he's very, very good. But it's kind of cool. So like if you're in marketing or type of sales jobs or just in general, just the everyday relationships, that book will help you. Like, it
absolutely.
Really will. There's a lot of stuff in there and I absolutely love it. But I started reading it through the work I was doing, and now it's like, man, now I'm addicted to it. So I'm like, I'm just reading as much as I can every night, and then I'll go back and read some stuff so I can like redo it.
Right.
But again, I don't sleep, so I'm always one of those guys that's just trying to do stuff to better yourself.
Absolutely.
But off that track, because I might be ADHD. I don't know. But
me too. I've been diagnosed.
Squirrel,
so.
You know what I mean? Well, I was reading the paperwork because they were giving us paperwork. And I was like, some of this is me. Exactly. I asked him that too. He's like, can you put me on the medication or what? Like, because he was like talking about how that stuff works too, like ADHD medication. He's like, oh, this is it'll help you focus. It'll help you do this. It'll help you do that. I'm like, well, stop drugging the kid. Give me the medicine.
Exactly. I'm not sure I'm a big believer in the medication. I don't know. I'm not either. My 14-year-old, he takes Vyvanse.
Yeah, I'm not sure the names. He was
that's an ADHD medication, and he takes it so he can focus in school. And it's one of those medications you kind of got to keep on a regular schedule.
I think for some people though, like we were just talking, you know, like me, like because I'm a situational guy, awareness type thing, so I'm always kind of aware of my surroundings and what's going on, which helps me with my comedy. Especially you've seen, you know, when I'm on stage, I point out stuff in the crowd that probably other people didn't see until after I pointed out.
Absolutely.
So to me, like I don't know if I would want to do something like that. Like if I took something that just made me super hyper focused,
right?
It'd probably mess up my comedy.
Well, you know. Sal Volcano, you ever seen that Impractical Jokers show?
Yeah.
He was on Joe Rogan a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his ADHD. And when he goes to work, like write material, he goes to sit on the computer or whatever, he can't focus. And so he's on that same medication. And it's basically like a speed that if you have ADHD, it kind of levels you out. And I don't know if the benefits outweigh the risks of the medication, if that makes sense. I don't know if the focus is worth it for all the side effects that the medication has or the long-term health effects of that medication. I don't know if it's worth it or if I just want to have a short attention span.
Well, that's kind of my thought process too, especially like with a kid though, you know, like to me personally, it's like, do you really want to put a 5 or 6-year-old kid on something like that and then like think about like how that's going to impact them later? Like what kind of chemical imbalances could this cause later? Could this be one of those things in the future, like say 15, 20 years down the road, and then you see it on the news, like, were you impacted by this? You may have a lawsuit, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. You don't, I think about that because I'm always like looking at the bigger picture on everything, you know, because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I wasn't looking at the goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I want to be at. Like, it's like if I'm if I'm doing something, I always said this too, like whenever I was doing like defense training and stuff like this, I'm like, you're not hitting that person, you're hitting through that person. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it with my goals in life. I'm not just looking at what I'm doing at this moment. I'm looking
It's
at
not
how this is going
necessarily
to take me
about
to the next moment.
It's not necessarily about like showing up. It's the follow through.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And and I talk to people too about that with punchlines and stuff like that too, and timing and things. And it's definitely like, I'm not an expert. Don't get me wrong. Like I've been doing the stand up thing for a little over a year, and everybody does come to me for stuff, and they ask me about this and about that. And like I said, some of this stuff it's just me. Like
Yeah.
it fits me and it works for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Right.
So the same concept with the ADHD stuff. What works for one person may not work for the other.
Right.
But I'm on the same concept or the same thought process with you. It's like, would I want to risk that myself, like, and do that, and then say 15 years down the road, come to find out those side effects were doing so much damage to my body
Exactly.
that now I've lost 10, 15 years off my life.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I was going with my kid is like so I told my wife, okay, I'm anti-medication. You are for medication. How about this? How about we leave the decision up to the kid and the doctor, and we make an informed decision, after we look things up, and she's good with that, and I'm okay with that because he thinks ultimately he does perform better with the medication.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I just want him to keep in mind that if something goes wrong, I was against it the whole time. So,
Right.
so I don't get the blame. But
I feel that way too, because I've been against the medication too.
Exactly.
Because she's been kind of like pressing it like every time, like, and she did it today too, and I noticed it because I'm very observant, and I like watch it, and every time it's like, well, is there a medication? And he told her multiple times like, well, there's nothing for ODD. Like there's
Right.
nothing to ADHD. They can give you something for it, but they don't like to before the age of 6.
Right.
Even actually the insurance companies will combat it before
Right.
the age of 6, and but just kept on asking about it, and I was just like, he already told you there's nothing for the ODD part. But
Right.
for me, it's like more along the lines, like I said, I don't think that that should be the fix all. Medication should never just be the fix all.
Right.
There should be things that we could do with behavior. There should be the things that we could do to help them focus better. Find something that interests them to help them do what they need to get done.
Right.
And I feel like that's how I get my son to focus when I'm working with him, is I get on his level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's different. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. But
No, I'm absolutely with you. I think teaching and parenting with love and logic is the best way, because I think once you get down to that level with not only a kid, it's just like really any kid, like they learn to trust you.
Yeah.
And when they feel like they can trust you, then they can talk to you. And when they can talk to you, they can learn from you.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I'm right along with you. I think the biggest thing that I always told my wife and the doctor was, I don't want to change my son. I don't want his...
I don't want a zombified kid.
Exactly. I don't want to change his personality. And so I'd go to the doctor and I'd be like, okay, he says that he wants to be medicated. You say you want to medicate him. The wife and I are indifferent. So can you lay out the side effects of each medication?
Yeah.
And we ended up actually getting a DNA test for him. It's called GeneSight. It cost us like $300 after insurance. But it's called GeneSight, and they can identify different markers in the DNA to tell us which medications work, which ones don't, and which
nice.
ones work for which thing.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool.
I didn't even know it myself, but my sister, my sister's daughter has ADHD really bad, and she just could not focus in school.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just necessarily about focusing like she was able to complete her work. She was able to get good grades, but then when she'd pay attention to her schoolwork, her social life suffered. And when she'd pay attention to her social
There's no
life,
balance. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so she told me about that GeneSight test, and we had our kid tested, and I tell you, ever since then, it's not been as big of a struggle with the medication, but it still is sometimes. Like they wanted to put him on like a depression medicine,
Oh, shit.
a Prozac is what they were
Oh,
wanting
yeah,
to put him
no.
on.
No.
And I was like, what the hell for? He's not depressed, and they're like clinical depression.
They put me on that whenever I was okay. So I've been through some hell, as a father. Like I've been to court like off and on, especially with my son.
Yeah.
I went through a lot with that, and we get along better now. Don't get me wrong, we get along a lot better. I mean, we still have our moments where we're bickering, and I'm like talking logic, and she's talking nonsense. And I know that sounds bad because it's like my side of the story, but
Well, I mean, if we look at the other side of the coin, she's probably thinking the exact opposite.
yeah,
so.
but anybody that looks at it from the outside looking in, they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. So it's funny, but and that happens. It is what it is, and that's an age gap too. Like we're like 8 years, 10 years apart.
Oh,
her and
yeah.
I are. So the thing is, I've been through life, and I have a 13-year-old daughter, and our son is her oldest kid, so there was a 7 to 6 year age gap between my oldest and my son anyway.
Right.
So that I've been around for a little bit. So the whole thing is like, I've been through all that hell. So whenever I was going through it and I was getting dragged to court like every other month, because it was like, oh, he's doing this. And then I show up to court and I wasn't doing that,
Right.
but still that extra stress was put on you. Well, I was going through that. I was starting to have a little bit more health problems and stuff. And I was starting to having chest pains and just random stuff happening. I'm like, man, I'm fit. I'm young. I'm not anywhere close to being out of shape.
Stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the stress was getting to me. So guess what they wanted to prescribe me? It was Prozac.
Yep.
Or an off-brand of Prozac.
Yeah,
'cause-
I always find an issue with going to the doctor, period,
Yeah.
nowadays. They don't want to help.
they
just
wanna
want to shove pills at you.
fix it that
Yeah.
way. It's a quick fix.
Yeah.
Instant gratification. Is what it is.
Exactly.
And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Like, I want this to be solved. I don't want it to be like that. And
Right.
the thing was on that, and I had to develop that mindset that
Yeah.
effort meets fate, right? I had to do this philosophy. And honestly, since we were here last, I had brought this up, and I even did the news thing. The
Yeah.
news covered me and stuff, which was awesome. That's kind of blown me up in the area. Like,
Hell
I walked
yeah.
into a place yesterday, and
It
people
was
like,
really neat to see you, like, not to segue away from that, but it was really neat to see you on, like, I know it's weird because, like, any of us can have a bigger following than the local news, but it's like the local news.
Yeah.
You grew up here.
Yeah.
The people here know you, like, the people here know you your whole life. And that's so cool.
And here's the thing too, because everybody's like, well, what do you want to, do you want to just like tell people to shove off that was doubting you and all this stuff? And I'm like, no, I said that's not how you do it. Like, to get even or get anywhere that you want to be with people, like, yes, they might have made you mad. Yes, they might have done you crappy, but what's better, you to sit here and be petty and like say, how do you like me now type stuff, or just like let them see you on TV, let them see
Exactly.
you doing successful things? That's the way you should do it, because if you give that negative energy back to negative energy, it's just going to be bouncing back and
It's
forth.
going to be,
we don't need
two
that.
negatives make a negative.
Yeah.
I don't care what the math says. I don't think two negatives do not make a positive. I don't care what anybody says.
No, it's just going to keep that cycle going is what it is. And I don't want to be a part of that. There's been people that's done me wrong. There's been people that, I probably wasn't the best to either. But to each their own. You just go about your life. You do your thing. And where I was at on that was like, what I was talking about was, all this stuff that I've been doing, when I developed this effort meets fate philosophy, it was because of my high school theater teacher.
Yeah.
She was amazing. Miss Rocky was, she wasn't just a teacher, she's like, she looked at a student and she didn't look at a student just like a number.
Absolutely.
You don't find that in everyday teachers. Like, some of these teachers nowadays, they're like, here's your homework, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
We've all dealt with them.
Yeah.
We deal with it now with kids, and it's sad, but
I think it's gotten a lot worse now.
It has.
in recent years. And the only thing I think it's a lot of burnout.
well, yeah, it's a disciplinary thing because they're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed
Exactly.
to make these kids mind. They're not
Not
allowed
only
to,
that, but like parents have been sending their kid, like, and this has been going on for years and years and years. But parents send their kids to school for like babysitters.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's one of those things is that you got you get to they think that okay, so we're just gonna send them off, and it's the tablet thing.
Yeah.
Here,
Exactly.
out of sight, out of mind, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not what kids are. These kids are the future. do you really want these kids to be in that mindset and then go run our country?
Exactly.
Because somebody's going to be running our country at some point in the day, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we're going to end up with another, well, look what's running our country now. I'll say it.
I'm pretty sure my 5-year-old could do a better job, but
and
he definitely could stay awake longer.
He could definitely complete a better sentence. I'm just telling you.
Yes, yes.
But,
hey, you heard him on the way in here.
Yeah,
you know?
He's very talkative. He's very wise. I like him. He's funny as hell. He told me McKellar in my truck too. That was awesome. But I think though, on that mindset though, is like, it's just the fact is that I am so thankful for every opportunity I get.
Yeah.
So like when people come at me with the negative stuff, I had to put that mindset to the backside.
Yeah.
Like you have to put it behind you. I'm not saying that some people don't need that extra help.
Yeah.
Then they might need it. You know, there are some people out there that they're just so chemically imbalanced that the medication might help.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't work, but like I said, what works for you doesn't work for me.
Right.
Or vice versa. So for me, the medication didn't do anything good for me. They put me on it and I actually felt like I was more depressed. You know, I felt like I was having worse days.
Right.
You know, like I'm like, no, this is not working for me.
And then you have to remember to actually take it.
Yeah, and that too, you know, and then you're like, I don't want to be taking this for the rest of my life.
Right.
You know, because I've seen side effects of that stuff. I've seen people on it, and sometimes, you know, I've seen people where it makes them bloated and all this other stuff, and you have just so many different side effects that I don't want to be on that for the rest of my life.
Makes the depression worse. That's my thing.
Wake up, work out, you know, do your thing, you know, find an outlet, you know.
You wouldn't believe how much medication, like how much medicine working out and being physical is until you actually do it. Like I can't run anymore because I smoke. I've been smoking for a long time, and I'm heavy. I could run with a little bit of effort. It'd take me a little bit of work.
If I'm running, you better be. I hate running.
But being physical, even just mowing the yard after I get done, I get that satisfaction, and I feel great.
Yeah.
But with the depression medications and everything, there's so many side effects, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's just
not worth it.
Is the side effects worth? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
It's not.
I don't think it is.
It's not for me. I just felt like it because I was supposed to be on it and I stopped taking it. And you're not supposed to quit that stuff cold turkey. So
right.
I don't think I was on it long enough. I was only on it for like a couple months.
Right.
But I don't think you're supposed to stop. Like if you were on it for like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And you quit cold turkey, there could be some serious health issues that come along with it.
Yes.
But for me, I'm very strong-willed. And I think this is also another thing for my son, because they say the therapist even said straight up, if he doesn't want to do it, he's probably not going to do it.
Exactly.
And if he wants to do it, he's probably going to do it.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm doing with the comedy game. Like I put it in my mindset that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this to a level that I set out to take it to.
Exactly. And like manifest destiny.
Exactly.
Effort meets fate.
So yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And I talked to I've been looking at my son about it and I'm like, man, he may not talk, he may not do what I do as far as the talking side of that stuff, but his mindset is there. Like he is a very, very strong-willed child. And I don't think it's necessarily that he needs to be highly medicated. I think it's just like you have to make him understand. It's going back to that psychology side of it is like, it's got to seem like his idea.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if you can figure out a way to do that, maybe that might change up the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's going to happen overnight, but that's what I would prefer to do. I'd rather find methods to change the behavior.
Yes.
Than here's a pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't work for me. I just prefer to be that guy. I mean, I don't know, because at the end of the day, I just seen so many people on that anxiety medications and stuff like that just they zombified them.
Yes.
Or they had all this extra weight gain.
Yep.
Which caused other health problems.
Depression.
And more depression.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. That to me is like, well, why are you taking it?
Exactly.
It's supposed to get you out of that. Like,
exactly.
If it's doing worse than what you were, it's like it's going to cause constipation, bleeding ulcers, all this other stuff, whatever.
It's like an old Jeff Foxworthy joke. He's like, the side effects on this medication, and he lists off a bunch of side effects that may cause you to lose your house.
Right.
He says, well, I think I'd rather have itchy, watery eyes, and
right, I can get over that.
Exactly. And going back to what you were saying about being on stage, and there sometimes negative stuff finds you. And you know what I like to do when that stuff happens is I like to take the negativity and extract the constructive criticism or whatever criticism is there. And I don't like to take it personal. Now, I wish I could do this with the people that I know, the people that are close to me.
Yeah.
When they give me criticism, I wish I could take it like less personal.
Yeah.
And figure out it just kind of extract that data from whoever's given me the negativity, thank them and move on.
Exactly.
Because the reason a lot of people, the reason why they're digging and giving you hate is because they're mad at themselves or, boredom, and it's just, man, they get that same dopamine. It presses the same dopamine button that something good does. And so that's why they keep doing that.
It's called, you turn a negative into a positive is what you do. And
yes.
I don't say I'd mastered that, but I gave up my give a damn. You know what I mean? Like I did. I gave that up a long time ago. Especially this last year. I mean, it's shown this last year that my thought process on it, what anybody thinks of me that's going to doubt what I'm going to do, has become to the point of like, okay, I said I can't do it.
Yeah.
So guess what? I'm going to do it.
I'm doing it.
You know what I mean?
Doing it.
Now.
And you, brother, you are doing it.
So that's what you got to do. And that's what I was trying to tell you is like, I don't look at it this way. Like, okay, so I have all these shows lined up, right? I send them out all the time. I share it on there all the time. I stay steady booked out probably anywhere between 10 to 15 shows at a time. So I always got a show coming up,
Right.
And yeah, it might be local. We've got two, you don't mind if I give a shout out on all these shows I got coming?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the 29th is my next one, right? Here in town.
Yep.
That's next Saturday, at Unplugged, which again, I call it home. Love Unplugged. I love Jason Johnson and those guys. And of course, Jason's a absolute amazing musician. You got to hear this guy.
I've never heard his music, but like
Gotta hear him.
He's even funny when we go down there to hang out together.
Yeah. Good people.
And you're doing up there doing. He's joining in with you from the back. He's shouting and staying into the. I love it.
He stays steady with us, man, and he's such a big supporter. And Unplugged is kind of just gave us a home for it, man.
I love that place. I didn't even know it existed. Like I didn't know things like that were here. I was like, yes.
We brought it out. We brought it to light. And it's great because it is actually turning up. The comedy scene in St. Joe is just blowing up now.
Yes.
And I love it. And I actually love to be the spearhead of it and trailblazing. And everybody asks me about that. Like, man, I don't mind being the trailblazer. I want to create opportunities for others too.
Yeah.
It's not just me creating opportunities because that's what my teacher would have wanted me to do.
Right.
Is to be that guy, lead, but also be able to help others.
Absolutely.
And especially if you can teach people along the way. But my next show after that this is what's great about it because, I make this joke a lot about it because it's funny because I got nominated, right?
Yep.
So everybody sees that on my posters. They see it on my flyers because now it's part of my resume.
Right.
I was nominated for Kansas City's People's Choice Awards Best Comedian, right? I was a nominee.
Absolutely.
So made like top 15 comedians in the area or whatever. And there's thousands of us out there.
Yes, they are.
So it's crazy and it feels good. And you want to stay humble about it, but it's still kind of funny because I've never done a show in Kansas City yet. And I get nominated for Kansas City.
Right.
So I was laughing about it. Like, well, that's cool because apparently my reach goes.
Right.
So anyways, I finally, I got booked. So July 12th, I'm at Club Jumbo in Kansas City, Missouri.
Shout out.
Yeah. Well, it's called the People's Comedy Show.
Right.
Which basically they got a few of us that were nominated for the Kansas City People's Choice Awards Best Comedian nominees. They got a bunch of us to do that and put me on the card with some of the other guys, which two of them I already do shows with quite often now too.
Absolutely.
And then the other day, after selling out Southern Roots, Legends Comedy Club in Kansas City reached out to me. So what I'm going to do, it's not the same. It's not the Legends like the Complex. I know everybody was like thinking about that. Like, I mean, they still had the venue still like 400 capacity. So
right.
If we sell it out, it's going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
So which I plan on selling it out,
Still a big deal though, right?
It's a big deal because I'm in Kansas City. I'm making that wave now.
Right.
And I'm absolutely loving it. But I booked up one of the guys that was nominated with me, and then of course I'm taking Brady and Adam down with me, which Brady's kind of like my sidekick. He goes
Absolutely.
with me. He's not my sidekick. Brady is a top talent comedian.
Absolutely.
Like, dude is a writer. I can't talk him up enough. I really can't. He's just so amazing at what he does.
I've seen Brady's set
Brady Willis,
a few times, like a few different of Brady's sets, and I'm telling you, this guy is freaking hilarious.
He just gets better. He just gets better, for real. He is just getting better and better as you go. And when he first started, he came in with his notebook and all this stuff, and we were just. You could tell the transition. This guy became a comedian.
You could see a transition between the first time I saw him and the second time I saw him. It was only like a month apart.
Yeah, and he's easily, him and I, we can do 30 minutes to an hour sets easily, because my crowd work, I do a lot of that too, which takes up some of my time.
Right.
But Brady is a solid 45-minute guy.
Yeah.
If you need him to do it, I just can't. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's just that good. Like,
that's awesome.
He's just that damn good. Like, it kind of scares me. I'm like, dude, don't be taking my spot. It's like,
no, I'm that guy that if I see somebody coming after me that's going to take my spot, I am. Man, I hate to, I don't know how to put it, but like, I will push them.
Yeah. Above.
If I see that trajectory, like if I see, like, especially if I could hear it coming from, like, so if I know I'm working with somebody and I hear off in the background them talking about this person, and I'll be like, well, I know them.
Yeah.
I can get a hold of them. And that kind of stuff, I love that. And I love lifting people up. And the biggest reason why I do that is because I've had so much difficulty getting help in my life, like no guidance, like professional wise, not like life wise. I've got lots of people out there that give me direction life wise, but career wise, nobody. And in this job, nobody helps.
No,
like,
they all want to compete.
They see you like competition, and I'm like, I'm not your competition. I'm your buddy. That's how I want to be.
I'd rather collaborate than compete.
Exactly.
That's always been my thing. Got that? Probably somebody trying to sell me some health insurance or something again.
Yeah.
Jesus, ridiculous, man. That you want to talk about something that's driving me nuts?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I signed up for some private insurance recently.
Oh, you gave them your phone number, didn't you?
No, I signed it up and I did it. And I got it all signed up, got my cards in the mail and everything. Now I get like 50 million phone calls a day.
Wow.
And it's from, well, we want to sign you up for subsidies and then blah, blah, blah this and blah, blah, blah that. And I'm like, listen, I already took care of all this stuff. Like, I don't need you to call me again. And I'm like, how many numbers do you guys got? Like, it's worse than an ex, just like stalking you. And
right now I'm dealing with bill collectors.
Dude, I tell you, and we all get it, and I'm like hoping someday that I could just like call me and I'll be like, you know what, here you go. Here's the money. Exactly. Right now you're gonna stick with my payment plan, okay?
Yeah. That's so here lately, that's what I've been dealing with a lot. You don't like when I look at my phone, I don't know if it's a scammer or a bill collector, so I just don't answer.
Chances are they're both one and the same. So, you know what I mean? Like they're about to do the same thing to you. So it gets me every time. Like and I get them until like 10 o'clock at night too.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a cutoff at like 8 or something. I thought, but it's funny because I deal with that daily, and I got to the point where I start getting rude with them and stuff. But and then sometimes I'll mess with them for a little bit. And, I had this one call me one time. They were trying to sell me some it was like an off brand of Viagra or something.
Yeah.
I let him do his spiel and stuff, and I was like, you're stiffing me, aren't you? So, anyway, it took him a second to catch it, because I'm a one-liner kind of guy.
Right.
Anyways, but it went through. But we got over it. So
sometimes people don't know how to react to those one-liners because I'm kind of that
he
way
went
myself.
Limp, man. He went limp. He didn't know what to do. So,
I'm like that sometimes, like especially in bad situations that like I can lighten up the mood or whatever. I'll think of something funny, and instead of keeping it to myself, I say it. And if I piss people off, I don't have to live with them. So, as long as I'm not pissing off the people that I live with, that's all fine and dandy.
See, I do that too. I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna get pissed off no matter what I do. So I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna do it.
Amen.
I'm like an old man with syphilis. I just say what I want. So,
I don't know where that came from, but
I don't have syphilis, by the way. that goes out there on the internet like, oh, Dan Rathmann has syphilis.
Well, buddy, I think so. When you got here, we were talking about you are going to take your lady out for dinner.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna wrap up this show, and we're gonna get you out of here. But first, I wanna tell everybody this is Dan Rathmann. He's a comedian here in St. Joseph, Missouri, and I'm going to link all his socials in the description. You do have a website, right?
I do. It's www.sleepcockin.net.
And we'll also link that in the description. And Dan's looking to put a tour together. And so if you guys want some comedy and you guys want to feature several acts, get a hold of Dan here. He's got some comedian friends, and they can all tour together. And let's make this shit happen.
I want to thank you guys every time you have me on here, man. So I don't care where I'm at in the world. If I get a chance to come back and be on your show, I'll do it.
Absolutely. And we'll make this happen quite a bit. Like, I've just started doing live shows, like live YouTube shows.
Oh, you got to get me on a live one.
Really? Like,
it's fun. We'll talk about syphilis all day.
Absolutely. We'll do this live. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. But no, I'm down, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Well, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us. Check out Dan Rathmann. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.